I hate you more than I can bear, and I love you more than I can bear. And it's all films worth watching. Hello, it's our second official released episode. My name is Thomas Newby.
My name is Jeff Young.
Today we're squirreled away in one of the media rooms at the College of Idaho. We've been here for the last 4 or 5 days, on and off, recording vocals for the new By Fire and Sword album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you don't know us or if you don't know me, my name is Thomas. I already said my name. I don't know why I'm doubling up. I just am so excited for you to get to know me on all my things. I'm a musician. I love movies. Jeff here is a musician as well. He is a book talk social influencer, millionaire in the making. And he and I are coming together once a month and talking about movies. We're deciding whether they're all worth watching or not. Not all of them. Well, all of the ones that we watch, I guess, we're deeming whether they're worth watching or not.
Yeah.
So the decision is upon us. And today we're talking about Satoshi Kon's Millennium Actress, what year is it? What year was it at? The 2001 original animated film Millennium Actress by a bright star who did not shine for too long, Mr. Satoshi Kon. So again, folks, today, in case for some reason you're just stumbling into this blind, we're going to be talking a little bit about this movie. We'll decide whether it's good, it's bad, it's worth watching or not, and then we'll spread that information on to you. But before I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. Jeff, how the hell are you, buddy? We've been talking about music stuff, because we just finished recording. So we've been talking about nitty gritty details of music for a while, but how are, I don't know, how's the book talk? How's the world of letters?
It's good. I actually had a funny story. So the other day I received a press package from Penguin Random House, the publishing company, that I did not request. I did not sign up for it. And no one reached out to me on any of my socials to let me know that I was going to be receiving it. And they had my middle name on the mailing thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how the hell did they get my middle name? Because I don't give people my middle name, but it showed up as Jeffrey C. Young on the label. And I was like, how the hell did Penguin Random House get my middle name? Because I don't give that to anyone. I assume it's publicly listed somewhere, but I was more concerned about how they received my address at all, considering that no one from Penguin Random House reached out to me.
What did they end up sending you? That's cool though. That's like a big deal publishing house. That's one that I think your average jerk knows. If they're going to know any publishing house, they're going to know Penguin.
Yeah, they ended up sending me a YA fantasy that I can't talk about. I can't name it. I can maybe name it in the next episode, but there's a slip in the package that's like, don't talk about this. So I can't tell you what it is, but
can you tell us whether you are enjoying it or not?
I haven't started reading it yet.
Well, based on the cover, have you enjoyed it so far?
I don't think I'm going to like it based on the cover.
Penguin.
It's very YA looking, and when I open it, and I was reading through the blurb on the inside cover, and it's for ages 12 and up, and I was like, ooh, that might have been a miss for Penguin Random House. I don't know that I'm the guy for this book, but they sent it to me, so I'll read it. They'll get a review out of it.
Well, here's hoping that it connects to your inner 12-year-old.
But yeah, that's pretty much all the tricks in book talk lately. Other than that, I be reading.
Solid. I just finished up Gone Girl, Erica, because I'm traveling for out of town. We normally don't do these in person. Not that we've done enough of these for anything to be normal, but typically, we live in different cities. We're both in Boise right now. Jeff is on his way out. Actually, we're both hopping on into our respective transportation on the same day here in April and taking off. You're moving to Maine.
Yeah, Portland.
Yeah. Excited for you, buddy. Yeah, I feel like I'm talking all about you, but that's okay. How's the move? Are you ready?
Moving sucks. I'm ready for it to be done.
You've got less than 15 days now, right?
Yeah. But it's one of those things that we decided we were going to move in November or very late October. It was when we told our families. And so it's been 5 months of anticipation and buildup and waiting. And so it's just been looming on the horizon for so long that I'm ready for it to just be done and get here and be finished. Because I also feel like it's holding up large portions of my life. Because there's so much stuff I can't get to until this is done.
Sure.
So I'm ready for this to be finished. I'm excited about it for sure. Like I really, really, really want to get to Portland, but it's like one more hurdle, and then I will like be a dove released from my cage. But yeah, so like it's cool. Everything's lined up. There's been no hurdles in moving. It just is. It seems like it came really fast, and now it's like army crawling forward, like so slowly. But yeah, 2 weeks from today.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you, buddy. I'm gonna come and visit because I've never spent any time in like that chunk of the country. So
Oh, you got it. We'll go to Boston.
cool. We'll hang out. Get some. I don't know. What do they get? What do they have at Boston? The baked
Boston's
beans, right?
Boston baked beans. Yeah, they have those. Boston is also, well, New England is seafood.
Right. We'll have some chowder and some baked beans.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do it up.
The other thing in Portland is blueberries.
Blueberries.
Yeah, Portland is one of the world's largest exporters in blueberries.
Hmm.
Blueberries and lobster.
Great
Not together.
combination.
Not
No,
together.
it's too late.
Not
It's
together.
too late.
Don't put them together.
You've already suggested it. I'm sorry, Jeff. It's already out there into the world.
Hey.
We've clipped it out. It's going around the world. You've gone viral. Blueberries and lobster.
Blobster.
Blobster. Delicious blobster. Yeah. I am visiting from out of town. I'm directing a musical at the College of Idaho, which is part of the reason that we're out here.
At
Which
the
is
College of Idaho.
At the College of Idaho, as you can tell by our illustrious backdrop, which actually is probably, since it's green screen, I'm going to probably just like put in a still from the movie that we're talking about or we're going to talk about. So if it's not green, that's why. That's what's back there. Just so you know. Sorry to break the illusion, but it's a big old green screen.
If it
back
looks
there.
like we're in Japan, we aren't.
Or in space.
That's true.
Or at war. Or dealing with an old lady, I guess. Dealing with a ghost.
Let's go back to just regular Japan.
Yeah, but anyway, I've been out here working on the musical, and I've had a lot of my days open to work on different projects. But I've been watching a lot of movies. I've been going to the theater a lot. There's this new to me. There's a Caldwell Lux Theater that's pretty close to the College of Idaho that is nice, and it's like there's basically nobody there, at least in the afternoons when I'm going. So it feels like I'm like having these huge movie theaters to myself. What did I see this month? I saw The Monkey, super solid, super funny. What else did I see in theaters? I saw this Valentine's Day like rom-com / horror movie called Heart Eyes. That was
I
kind of
missed
funny.
that. I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
Dang, I forgot about it.
It was fun. It was interesting watching, like feeling the like those two genres like butt heads with each other, you know, because sort of the general premise is that like the serial killer only goes after new lovers. So you're like watching these two start in a rom-com, and it's like, oh no, you're falling in love. He's gonna execute you.
I remember like when I saw the trailer and the poster, it reminded me a lot of My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. I'm a bigger fan of the band myself, but I have checked it out. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I saw there's a new Steven Soderbergh spy movie called Black Bag that was really, really, really cool. Yeah, he did this thing with all the shots are like really blown out, and you can see like almost all of the like lighting fixtures. It looks like it's all natural lighting sources, and they're like in the shot. Anyway, I don't know if you like Steven Soderbergh. Are you a fan of like Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12?
It's been a long time since I've seen them, but I think of them fondly.
Yeah, I mean he is like he's a great director, and right now he's doing things. He's just doing like quick and easy things. Like he's able to like make movies really quickly, and so he just kind of does. And so if you look at this, it's like it has that same kind of like smoothness that Ocean's 11 has, this new spy movie, but you can tell it's just done like on a bit more of a budget.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I also saw earlier this year, or maybe it was last year. No, I think it might have been last year. I saw another movie by Soderbergh called Presence. And that was really interesting. That one was all, it's a ghost, like a haunted house story, but it's all shot in first-person perspective from the perspective of the ghost that's haunting them.
Oh.
And he's basically like, he's got like a steady cam that he's dragging around, and everything's like one take throughout this house. It was an interesting experiment. He obviously like shot it on cameras that he owned at home. Like you can tell that it's a little on the cheapy side, but it was fun.
Cool.
And it's kind of cool. Somebody who can just do that, he's like he doesn't like, I don't need a whole whiz bang huge production to put something together,
Yeah.
Which actually is kind of an interesting segue into the director that we're talking about today, Satoshi Kon. Satoshi Kon died young. If y'all don't know him, he's an animated artist. I think he made 4 movies total. We were talking about this off off camera. What was, let me see. Is it Perfect Blue?
Perfect Blue.
Millennium Actress, which we're talking about today, which I think is his second film. Paprika, and is it? Sorry, I think it's flipped. I think it's Godfathers, Tokyo Godfathers, and then Paprika. I think
Yeah.
that's all of them, right?
Yeah, and then I think he was part of an anime called Paranoia Agent.
Right.
Was popular
His
too.
one TV show
Yeah.
that he put together as well. Yeah, and I guess the Soderbergh connection is that he really works well on a budget.
Yeah.
He's an interesting guy. Like, you can definitely, if you're paying attention, you can like feel where they're stretching out the budget. There are these like beautiful moments that are almost, they're like still lives, and you just stay on them in this film and in all of his films. And it has this dual purpose of like, it has this beautiful stillness to it, but it's also saving them a ton of money because it's like however many frames of the movie is, just the same
One
picture
shot,
over and
yeah.
over again. Or they also do that thing where they like do like a panorama, or maybe a pan, like across, like a zoomed in pan across something. So they like start here and then move across, and so they get all of their money's worth out of the animation. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's interesting. Jeff, before Millennium Actress, what was your relationship to Satoshi Kon?
I'd only ever seen Perfect Blue.
And that's the one that I haven't seen. I've seen all the other ones.
Dog, you are missing out.
I've heard it's good. Tell me about it. What do you think?
Perfect Blue. I've only seen it once, and that was like last September when I saw it. But probably a top 5 film I've ever seen. Like, I think about it all of the time. And one of the things that I think is so, I don't know if endearing is the right word, but one of the things that is a credit to its influence in pop culture is how many things from other movies you could tie back to Perfect Blue. Like, almost the entire premise of Black Swan by Darren Aronofsky is heavily influenced by Perfect Blue.
I haven't seen it, but I know that there's a scene where she's like screaming in the bathtub that's like he directly uses for what's the American Dream one?
Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, Requiem for a Dream. Yeah. So I guess both movies I was going to reference are Darren Aronofsky movies. So Darren Aronofsky really likes Perfect Blue because he references it several times. But yeah, just shots. There's one of her like looking in a mirror, but like her reflection is different from her actual face, which is obviously in Black Swan. Yeah, the screaming in the tub. There's a lot. Like, it's for being a movie that's only about 90 minutes long, its reach is far felt, far flung. It's an important movie. It's been referenced a lot. It's very culturally important. But yeah, it's one of the scariest things I've ever seen, which is being scared by animation is a distinctly different feeling than being scared by like a live action something.
Yeah, it's trickier for me. For me, I think like an interesting thing about when horror movies use too much CG, I've been noticing lately that like when we get into a mostly CG moment or something like where the monster is entirely made of CG, in my mind I'm like, oh, I'm clocking this like I'm watching a cartoon, and I'm taking it differently, and that's why it's losing all of its effect, because suddenly I'm in a cartoon world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's like I have a point to talk about this a little bit later, but it's one of the things in Perfect Blue is just the animation style paired with specifically the way that they animate faces and expression, paired with whoever did the score for those movies, is just give that guy a raise because he is crushing it. But just the use of the imagery with the music, even though I can tell it's animated, right? Like, it's ink on paper. It's terrifying. I think sometimes in the just how accurately it captures things that I think maybe more accurately than like a live action would. I don't know. I think it's kind of one of those, like, I hate being like it's a vibe thing, but I think it's a vibe thing. Like, I think it's one of those things where it's like the sum is greater than the combination of its parts.
Yeah.
Like, if you took any of those things individually, it'd be less powerful. But Satoshi Kon crushing it. Perfect Blue, definitely like a top 5 movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the other ones that I have seen, I saw Paprika, and I thought that was pretty good. I hadn't seen Millennium Actress until we had decided to watch this one, but I had seen Tokyo Godfathers, and that's a Christmas classic for me now. That's one we watch. I like insist that we watch every year at Christmas. It's heartbreaking. It's got some like like problematic treatment of trans characters, but it's like about homeless people in the early 2000s. So like I think if you're going to tell a real story about homeless people in the early 2000s, you're going to have to deal with some bigotry, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where, I mean, the thing about it, and what I think is interesting about Millennium Actress, the thing that they have in common, Tokyo Godfathers to me is like the most grounded animation piece of animation I've seen in a long time. Like it could have been shot as just a regular film. There's nothing like crazy. I mean, there's a couple of things where there's like a baby hanging over outside of a building, like that kind of like level of scared,
Yeah.
but not something that you couldn't pull off live. You know
Sure.
what I mean? So like the choice to do it animated, obviously it's like Satoshi Kon's wheelhouse. It was his art
Medium of choice.
his medium of choice. But it gives it such an interesting gravity to be like, I'm gonna sit down and watch this cartoon, and then you're just feeling like you're watching these very real people, trundle around. Millennium Actress has kind of the same thing. I mean, it does blur. There's that fun thing where we're like blending the story of the what is her name? I'm spacing on the name. Chiyoko, the main character. You're blending sort of her narrative with the movies that she starred in as an actress. So there's a little bit of that blur that I think I'm told is like a big part of Perfect Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's like the real kind of groundedness of people just kind of walking around, dinging around. Oh, excuse me, guys. I gotta turn myself on to Do Not Disturb. I am so popular. I'm ringing off the hook.
That was Erica texting you. Hi, Erica.
Hello, Erica. We love and miss you, both of us. We held hands if you're just listening for some reason.
I'm always stuck his hand out.
Yeah, in support of each other. Well, it's because we love each other.
Yeah.
And we love Erica and we miss her. And we can't wait to return to her to Kansas City.
I'm not going to Kansas
We're gonna see
City.
you soon, baby.
Tom will see you soon, baby.
Yeah. One and done. One and done. The comment one and done, but we're both two and done. Two is one and done.
Takes two to tango. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're riffing on.
It takes two to make a thing go right.
Yeah.
It takes two to keep it out of sight.
Yes.
I think really, ultimately, that's the point that I'm trying to make.
Yep.
If you learn nothing from my talk today, please know it takes two to keep it out of sight. It takes two to make a thing go right. I gotta say, I'm just looking at the camera. The lighting in here, it's like my hand looks like the hand of God right now. It's so overlit when I reach forward. Not good podcasting, but I'm noticing it. I'm clocking it.
You're welcome.
Oh, we're playing with new camera stuff. It's always fun. I'm like learning new stuff about all this stuff. It's great. But it is distracting us from our main point, folks. We're talking about Millennium Actress today. I think we're ready to jump in. You want to
I'm ready.
start this? Sweet. Thank you so much. Our kindest thank yous and kindest regards to Wikipedia and those who create on it for giving us the plot today that we're going to reference here. So if any of this is weird, that's who you have to file your complaints with. Lodge those complaints, I should say. We're starting with Chiyoko Fujiwara, a renowned former actress and prominent star for a film company, Janae. I'm going to butcher these today. A prominent star for a film company accepts a request for a retrospective interview amidst the demolition of the company's obsolete studio. Her first interview in 30 years after her sudden retirement from the entertainment industry. Documentarian Genya, I'm not going to even try these last names, and fan of Chiyoko, Genya, fan of Chiyoko, visits her house with his cameraman Kyoji Ida. Genja gives Chiyoko a small box containing an old-fashioned key. She remarks the key opens the most important thing and then begins reflecting on her life. Any thoughts on these opening establishing moments?
Yeah, I thought it was really sweet because when we first see the movie, the first clips of the actual film Millennium Actress are of our director friend watching one of his favorite Chiyoko Fujiwara movies in his like production studio at their studio that's like getting torn down. And so the first thing we see is her in the film, and he's like watching it and watching it back, and that's how we get introduced to Genja and Kyoji. And I think that stood out for me because it's introducing us to him as a fan of her.
Yeah.
Rather than just like, oh, I'm doing a documentary, like a retrospective documentary, but he was like, he's a fan.
for sure. Yeah, we talked a little bit about Cohn's sort of economy of motion, sort of
Mhm.
his economy of storytelling, and he just gets a lot done in these opening things because you get all of that understanding of how big of a fan he is of hers, and then you're also having this conversation where you're watching the studio get torn down as they're sort of on their way to the interview, or maybe they're
Yeah.
filming outside of it being destroyed. I just remember the camera guy saying something like, "You should have done this 18 years ago."
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I was like, "Oh, that's a hit."
Yeah.
Like that resonated with me for sure.
Yeah, he's really good at showing us and not telling us.
Yeah, yeah. Um, she begins reflecting on her life. Before we get into that, I don't think it's going to mention it. It does this interesting storytelling convention where it puts the documentarian and the cameraman into the scene like they're tracking recording the story as Chiyoko is telling the story from her past.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I thought that was a really interesting storytelling technique and something that I hadn't ever seen before, which I thought was like, I don't know, it's refreshing to see like a novelty like that, like a convention like that that I haven't seen a bajillion times. Like, have you ever seen anything like that anywhere else?
No. It felt familiar when I saw it, but no, I don't think I have ever seen anything where like the people who are being told the memory are in the memory observing it.
Yeah, yeah, or specifically like documenting
Mhm.
because I think I've definitely, I mean, nothing is coming to mind off the top of my head, but I'm sure that there are like people telling a story and then they're involved
Yeah.
in the story, right? But the idea that there's like a camera guy there,
Mhm.
was it just an interesting thing that they're like, oh yeah, they're sitting there and documenting all of this as best that they can?
Yeah, and there's a funny interplay between the two of them where the camera guy is always like, "Whoa, what's going on? Like, what are we doing? What? Hey!" And then the director guy is always like enraptured by whatever is happening around him,
Yeah.
like he's watching it again for the first time.
Yeah, I mean that's part of his character. He's such a fan that he's going with the flow like no matter what.
Yeah,
And Shioko is elderly and is definitely losing it a little
yeah,
as we're telling these stories. Well, the story begins. Chiyoko's telling it. She was born during the 1923 Great Kanto earthquake, which took the life of her father. As a schoolgirl, she is scouted by the studio's general manager to appear in a government-sponsored film to inspire troops serving in the Second Sino-Japanese War. Excuse me. While and this is them talking the whole time they're talking about war in Manchuria. It's the war in
yeah,
Manchuria we're talking about. While her mother opposes, intending for Chiyoko to inherit the family's confectionery store, Chiyoko remains uncertain until she meets a political dissident painter who is being pursued by police and hides him in her home's storehouse. The next day, he leaves for Manchuria to join his allies, leaving Chiyoko the key to his box of art supplies. Chiyoko fails to catch him before the train departs, but vows to reunite with him. Genya tearfully recognizes this as a scene from one of Chiyoko's films. From this point forward, Chiyoko's memories and films become intertwined. Yeah, they like stop even like trying to be like, well, this did happen and this didn't happen.
yeah. They just show us flashbacks, or they just show us clips of the movies she was in that serve as doubles for her telling us the memories.
Yeah, I guess, and then the cameraman will often have a comment about like, I think like we'll go into it, but it moves into like like feudal Japan,
Mhm.
and he like has comments about the costumes. He's like, "What era is that?
Yeah,
Is that even the right era?"
yeah, yeah. He kind of breaks the fourth wall of the the memory flashbacks.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's got he's the eye, he's the camera perspective obviously, but then he's also like the audience's stand-in in this story
Mhm.
because both of the other two are we haven't gotten to it yet, but are like involved in the narrative to some degree.
Yeah.
So I gotta say the one thing that did bug me about it is that he filmed all of this stuff hypothetically, and we never saw like shaky camera footage of any of the moments. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was like a whole extra shot in every scene that would like never got used. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It kind of drove me nuts. I was like, why are we even filming it if we're not going to show it? And I'm like, obviously it's not actually happening. It's
I
just happening in their head. But
Yeah, I think he just serves as a reminder that this is a memory.
yeah,
Like a memory and also the movie, so that we aren't like mistaking it for something. I think he's our like audience anchor.
I feel you. It's a minor complaint, but I was just like, I don't know. That's like an extra level of perspective that you could play with. I don't know. Like I said, a minor issue for sure. Um, Recalling the film set in Manchuria, Chiyoko becomes an actress and travels there in hopes of reuniting with the artist. She meets the general manager's nephew, an aspiring director, Junichi, and a lead actress, Aiko. During filming, Chiyoko is led to northern Manchuria by a fortune teller bribed by Aiko. Her train is attacked by bandits before the setting shifts to a burning Sengoku period castle, Sengoku period, which according to Wikipedia is the period in Japanese history in which civil wars and social upheavals took place almost continuously in the 15th and 16th centuries. So that's like 100 years of constant civil war. Interesting. That makes sense. This whole part is really pulpy. It's like the pulpiest, I thought. It made me like want to go back and like watch more Japanese films. This movie was interesting to me. Like I feel like I'm missing out on a big part of it because I just don't have the context of being a fan of like of Japanese cinema to that level.
Yeah, there's some touchstones we definitely don't get.
Yeah. Because I just have a feeling like I've seen some stuff I would imagine from this era. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how many Kurosawa things that I've seen that actually fall into this, like Sengoku period specifically.
Right.
But I feel like it's like in the same level. You know, we're sort of talking like individuals.
Like Seven
like,
Samurai. There's that movie. Ron.
Yeah, Ran's another one.
It, but...
the Hidden Fortress, which is like a big influence for Star Wars. Yeah, he did so many. I think like I couldn't tell you how many. Ikiru, by the way, is like my all-time favorite. While we're on the side tangent of Kurosawa, anybody out there, if you have the ability and you haven't, go watch Ikiru. It's about trying to do something meaningful in a harsh and unforgiving world. And it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite films of all time. But yeah, anyway, sorry. So we're in this Sengoku period castle. Chiyoko, in the role of a princess, is tricked by an old wraith into drinking a cursed tea that will cause her to, quote, burn forever in the flames of eternal love. In Chiyoko's continuing search for the artist, the setting and Chiyoko's role change in quick succession, ranging from a courtesan in a brothel at the end of the Edo period. Edo?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a horrible weeb. I would say I'm not one at all. Ranging from, as a matter, is that offensive?
I think that's contextual. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean any offense if I have offended.
I think there's some people in sweatpants who might not enjoy you calling them weebs, but whatever.
Yeah, but I'm just calling myself not.
You don't mean it condescending.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
And I love sweatpants, so no hate there. Anyway, Edo period. She's a courtesan in a brothel in the Edo period to a schoolgirl in the Taisho era. Her family store is destroyed in an air raid, but on a surviving wall, she finds a portrait of her painted by the artist with a promise for her reunion. Yeah, so that was one of my favorite like sequences. Like all of these basically costume dramas, just one after the other. I have a pretty limited experience with Japanese cinema, but the things that I have seen sort of fall into this more than like the war epics and things like that. So this was the part where I was like, oh, I know what we're doing. You know, sometimes I was feeling a little adrift in this film in a way that I haven't with some of his others. Not in a horrible way. Like I think this is a great film. Well, we'll get to it as we wrap up. Anyway, she finds that portrait painted by the artist with the promise of their reunion. After World War II, Chiyoko's career flourishes, but she never forgets the artist. One day during filming, Aiko secretly steals the key. When asked by the film crew about the significance of the key, Chiyoko despondently realizes that she can no longer even remember the artist's face and resigns herself to a married life with Junichi, which is the pervy nephew. Which I think the first thing he says to her, and he's way older than her. She's like a 10-year-old girl or something, and he's like, "Oh, my dad gave me, or my uncle gave me something to play with," or something gross like that. And then he ends up marrying her.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of those like sad, harsh realities about
life in the arts.
Yeah. And working inside of an industrial complex.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of Satoshi Kon's work is reflective of in a really interesting way. It's
his work can be very critical of entertainment for sure.
Yeah. She finds the key. She eventually finds the key hidden in their home and confronts Junichi about it. Junichi, having been aware of Aiko's role in the fortune teller incident, coerced her into stealing the key on his behalf in order to secure Chiyoko's hand in marriage. Aiko admits to being motivated by jealousy towards Chiyoko's youth and innocence. An old, scarred man who has pursued the artist as a military policeman approaches Chiyoko on a journey of atonement, and he hands her a letter from the artist. Chiyoko boards an express train to the artist's hometown in Hokkaido, but the conclusion to her trek proves fruitless. Yeah, any thoughts on sort of those big revelations that all kind of happen all at once?
Yeah, so there's some cool things that happen there. So like when she first meets the unnamed artist when she's a child, like they run into each other in the street and he knocks her down because he's running away from the cops. When she meets him, he gives her the key, and she asks him, what is the key to? And he's like, it opens the most important thing there is.
Right.
And then we never are verbally told what that is. That's no answer. She's like, don't tell me. That's my homework. You can tell me tomorrow. But lo and behold, they never reunite. Or at least they don't reunite the next day before he goes to Manchuria. And then this is also where we're introduced to the scarred man that Tom just referenced, who is he's the military guy who's looking for the dissident painter, but he also cameos as the bad guy in every flashback.
Right.
He's the head baddie in every flashback that we see.
Right. And that's sort of the first time we watch her sort of stand up against any system. Those policemen are in response, and they're like, which way did he go? And instead of, pointing to where he's hidden behind her, she points in a direction and sends them off. Which seems like a big moment for her to
she hesitates. She holds for like 10 seconds before she's like, he went that way.
Yeah. And so that decision to defy authority, it sets up their relationship for the rest of her life. And it seems like one of those like quintessential moments. I mean, they give it the gravity of it being, just a huge moment for her that's going to resonate for the rest of her life.
Pivotal, set her on a path. And one thing that I think is also really fun that isn't mentioned in the plot summary is that the director who's filming the retrospective interview, he as we go through each of the flashbacks and the vignettes, he becomes more and more involved in them. At one point, he like catches a beam in a burning castle to keep her from dying, and then he ends up being characters in all of the flashbacks from that point forward, all of which are serving Chiyoko's character at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Like he pulls her in a rickshaw. He bails her out of jail at one point. He's like a samurai who sort of shows up to protect her when she's playing like a forest rogue person. Like it's funny how he just like shows up enthusiastically in all of the vignettes, and the camera guy is like, boss, what are you doing here? Like, oh God, you're in these? Like it's really fun to see that, like as she tells him more and more of the flashbacks, he recalls those moments in the film and inserts himself into the memory.
Yeah, and there was also something about like yes-anding somebody with an elderly person's delusions.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you've ever, like a technique that people with dealing with loved ones with Alzheimer's and dementia, like a piece of advice they give you is to like not directly argue with the things that they're presenting to you. If they're like, I listened to a really interesting story. I think it was This American Life, that radio show and podcast years and years and years ago about some improv actors who had a mother or a mother-in-law that was dealing with dementia, and they like really leaned into their improv skills and just kind of yes-anded her, and she'd be like, "There's monkeys out there in the skyline," instead of being like, "There aren't any monkeys out there. What are you talking about?" They'd be like, "Oh great, well, let's go monkey hunting. Get your stuff. We're gonna go out and go monkey hunting." And eventually, she would like recognize the silliness of what she was saying to them. Like she would come around to it more easily than if they just like dug their heels in and were like, don't be ridiculous. There's no monkeys out there. You know?
I think the cognitive dissonance of constantly being told that you're wrong of things you're certain of is one of those big things in Alzheimer's that people are like, it's just better to not. I've heard that thing too, where it's like, just don't argue with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Let them have their fleeting moments.
And you kind of like in this film, like I think Kon on purpose, Satoshi Kon is doing sort of examining that an elderly person with like a flaky memory, and you have those two voices in the room. One of them's like, what is going on? None of this is real. And the other one is like, putting on that helmet and like acting through things with them. It's sort of like a representation of the binary of how to handle those situations in general.
Because there's also a moment where Chiyoko and the director are speaking, and she's like, oh no, let's keep going because I might not remember it tomorrow. Like I might not have the cognition to retell this for you tomorrow.
For sure. And I mean, it's not, it's not like, I mean, it is directly related, but it's no accident that, midway through her life, she can't remember the face of that Manchurian kid from her childhood.
Yeah.
Like the frailty of memory is something that like this and movies versus memory, like, is an interesting juxtaposition that I think is really interestingly explored in this film.
Mm-hmm.
During production of Chiyoko's final film, an earthquake causes the set to collapse, which is the third earthquake of the film, because we have like an earthquake that happens at the very beginning in real time, and then that segues into the earthquake that killed her father, and then we have the earthquake. This is the third earthquake, right?
Yeah.
A young Genya, who is the producer of the documentary, working as an assistant at the time, rescues her. Seeing the wraith in her prop helmet, Chiyoko flees the set and retires from acting. In the present day, Chiyoko, once more seeing the wraith in her reflection, acknowledges that she is no longer the girl the artist had met. Upon the end of the interview, another earthquake strikes, upsetting Chiyoko's fragile health. En route to the hospital, Genya confides in Kyoji that after Chiyoko left for Hokkaido, the policeman confessed to him that he tortured the artist to death. On her deathbed, Chiyoko thanks Genya for rekindling her memories of the artist and reviving the young girl that she was before. She concludes then that it does not matter if she sees the artist again or not, because what she really loved was the search for him.
Yeah, there's a very sweet couple of moments where when the producer and the cameraman are driving to the hospital, the Genya recounts to him, he's like, oh, I've known the entire time that the dissident painter's dead. And he's known that the entire time that he's been talking to Chiyoko and going through this interview. And he's like, yeah, she spent her whole life pursuing the shadow of a person who was no longer there and had been not in her life for, well, ever since he left, but like she's been searching for an unfindable thing for the majority of her life.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's some other sweet quotes that I wrote down where when she's in the bed, she's like not sad about dying because she's like, after all, I'm going after him again. Like about like, when I go into the afterlife, he'll be waiting for me and I'm going to go get him, and she's like, and after all, it wasn't him that I really loved. It was the pursuit of him,
mm-hmm.
which I think ties back to me to the key being opening the most important thing that is. And I wonder, stop me if I'm jumping ahead, but like, I think the point of that for me, or at least what I took away of it, is that's talking about purpose,
mm-hmm.
having some sort of, not necessarily like a guiding light spiritually, but like something that keeps you going. Like that key opened that for her.
Sure.
Like chasing him through her life is what kept her going and like gave her purpose. But I think in actuality that key opened the art supply box because it pans down to the art supply box when he gives it to her.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it's one of those, like, we never find out what the key opens because that's not the point of the key.
Yeah, for sure. Like the key becomes just key to her pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I love, and then the final moments, I thought some of the one of the most striking moments for me was like right at the end, she is essentially saying, I'm going into this pursuit. The pursuit is all I've ever wanted. And I'm going to die and I'm going to start this all over again in the afterlife. And then we cut to the same footage that we saw earlier of that space epic.
Yeah.
That's Genya's favorite. And it's her, putting her space helmet on and like flying off into the unknown, and it's this, I don't know, this beautiful thing about the power of cinema. I don't know if you're familiar with the idea that like when you are remembering something from your childhood, or really anything, when you're remembering something, you're not actually recalling that event when you're bringing it up in your mind. What you're remembering is the last time that you remembered it.
Yeah.
So you're like Xeroxing like a copy of a copy of a copy. And so film is like a similar experience to like a memory like that, but it's like this is cut and printed and this is the memory.
Yeah, it never changes. Yeah.
It never changes. And so there's just like this powerful thing where like that, she's the story of her of that Manchurian's face and what he looked like. The details of that are gone
Mm.
for her. But what is there for her and for everybody, because it's there frozen in film forever, is this image of her putting on her spacesuit and like flying off into the unknown. You know what I mean? It's so much more. It's so weird. It's so much more real than memories and the things that we're recalling, because it's like we're watching the exact same thing every time that we're bringing it back up to us, you know? And so it's just like, well, I don't know. I love movies, and that's a big part of their power. You know, it's like you're playing back somebody else's dreams beat for beat, and it imprints on you like a memory, but it's a memory that's like been presented and curated for you, and it's, I don't know, it's cool. It's a trip.
And there were two other things. Is like it mentions in the synopsis that Genya is a production assistant, but he's there for a bunch of movies that she shoots. Like he works at the studio, and she worked, I think, exclusively for that studio. So he worked on like a bunch of movies, and there was several times in her like IRL life that he jumped in front of her when that earthquake happened, when they were filming the space movie, and protected her from a falling beam.
Right.
And he protects her from a falling beam in the samurai flashback, and then he also jumps over her again in the final earthquake at her house. And she's like, "Oh, you've always been there for me." Like it's like she doesn't remember him at first, but as they go throughout it, she like inserts him back into his place, and is like, "Oh, you're the young guy."
We talked about that thing about the frail memory where
Yeah.
she came back around to it.
Yeah.
He went with her on the journey, and then she came back to the truth on her own.
Yeah.
And was able to experience it in a powerful way instead of being like told what's real and what's not. You know.
And the other thing that stuck out to me was, I could be mistaken considering I watched this last night, but I'm pretty sure we don't ever see the dissident painter's full face. I think every time he has a hat on and he has like shaggy bangs. So I'm pretty sure we do that anime thing where we see like the bridge of his nose down and like the shadow of his eyes, but I'm pretty sure we don't ever actually see his face.
Yeah, I've watched it, I think like almost like 2.5 times, maybe 3 times now through, and I can't give you any details on his face.
Yeah.
No, which makes sense because the story is being documented by the documentary crew maker, but it's all or the documentary film crew, but it's all coming from her perspective. And even in middle age, you know, even halfway through the story that she's telling us, you know, she can't remember what his face looks like. So
yeah. And it ends up not being important, but I think that was a thing that stuck out to me. I was like, I also don't remember what his face looks like, and I saw him an hour ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting, the idea that it's like it's not even that it's like it's not the journey, or it's not the destination, it's the journey. It's not even that. It's like the arc of the journey. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's just something really powerful in that we've probably talked over and through and all the way to Grandma's house and back. But yeah, I just think it was beautiful in a lot of ways, for sure. Yeah, so I think we're close to wrapping it up. So the question becomes, is this film worth watching? And then I'm curious how it ranks for you. You've only seen 2 Satoshi Kon films.
Yeah. That's half though. That
is half.
That makes me accomplished.
So out of the half, how does it rank? How does it stack up against?
I like Perfect Blue more.
Yeah.
I think Perfect Blue is just more of a Jeff movie. Like it's got more action. It's way scarier. This movie is incredibly sweet and sentimental. This is not a feel good movie, but it's a feel good movie. It touch you in your heart. Perfect Blue just scare the pants off you. Doesn't touch you in the heart. But so normally like the feely goods like this is not something I am looking for out of movies. But this is second. I like Perfect Blue better, but I will withhold my ranking my rating until you ask.
Until we check all the rest of them out.
Yeah.
Okay, but I guess the big question: would you consider it worth watching?
Multiple times over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for multiple reasons. Like for one, I loved it, and some of it is just like the art. His Satoshi Kon's movies specifically, there's something about the way that he does anime that it just has a je ne sais quoi about it.
Mhm.
There's something about the aesthetic of his style that just hits me so hard. I'm like, yes, that is everything I want out of anime. And I think some of it is that his movies are, I guess, quote unquote old. Like Perfect Blue was 97, this was 01. So they're, getting up to 30, 25, 30 years old.
For sure.
But even if you look at older anime, like I much prefer the older anime style of like the original Dragon Ball or like the original Sailor Moon versus like all the remakes. Just like it's not fuzzier, but it just is a little less crisp.
For sure.
And I love that. Like it's a little dreamier.
Yeah, for sure. And Satoshi Kon's whole thing is like he is saving money by
Mhm.
like cutting those edges. And so it becomes a function, not a bug.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely like he's telling so as much as he can through stillness in a way that I find really, really emotionally effective, and I think saves him a lot of money or saved him a lot of money in the process.
But it just aesthetically it works so well. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like so if you're interested in anime, you should watch this movie just for an appreciation of the art.
Yeah.
Like and then also just I think as like an exercise in good filmmaking. Like I think just the way that the art interacts with the music and like the music especially. I don't know if you've looked up who did the score, but amazing. I was sitting there throughout this whole movie and it's only like 87 minutes long or something. It's not a long movie. And I was just thinking, I was like, God, this music is wonderful. And it's a lot of different genres. There's almost like a dance track in one point and like beautiful string compositions and like traditional Japanese stuff. Like it was all over the place, but it was awesome. I loved it.
The composer is Susumu Hirasawa. He's a Japanese musician and composer well known for his work with the films of director Satoshi Kon and the animated adaptations of the Berserk manga series.
Oh.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not telling me clearly enough here if he's did all of Satoshi Kon's stuff, but I kind of get the vibe that maybe he did. I mean, all of Satoshi Kon's stuff has a similar musical vibe to it, I would say. And it does have that kind of jazzy blend. Like it has a bit of like, I don't know, like almost like acid jazz to it. And then, but like with those classical elements too. It's, it's an interesting part of his palette for sure, the music that he chooses.
So yeah, I would say definitely, if you're interested in movies, if you like movies, go watch Millennium Actress.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I would say it's worth watching as well. I think it would probably hit more if I had more of a respect and understanding for classic Japanese film.
Sure.
I think that is the element of it that doesn't quite click for me. It's one of those movies that's like, it's a celebration of the movies, and I just haven't seen the movies that it means when it says the movies,
Speaking of that, there's a funny point where it's flashing back through all the movies Chiyoko did, and she's in a Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
At some point, she's doing like a premiere for a Godzilla movie, and I was like, oh, they're talking about Godzilla without ever actually putting Godzilla on the screen.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's funny. It's like it's just placing her in real points in time, which was cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely worth watching. It's only 87 minutes long. I mean, it's part of the economy of it is that he tells really tight stories, because you're not gonna, because frames are money, man, and he was not about spending it. Yeah, that's funny. The budget for this film was $1.2 million, which is cheap for animation for sure.
Especially in 01.
Yeah.
I wonder what that budget would be if you extrapolated it to today.
Oh yeah, it would be so much more. Or it wouldn't be, yeah. But not but I get the vibe that like most animated films are like in the $100,000 range these days, I mean, I'm no expert, but it seems to be like costs a lot to coordinate in a way that like.
You mean 100 million?
Did I say what did I say? 100,000?
100,000.
Yeah, 100 million.
I was like, that's cheap.
No, 100,000.
I'd do it for that.
I think it's. I think that you're getting like because they don't even really make films anymore at like the 50 million mark anymore. It's either like 10 million super cheap or up into the 100 million. Yeah. I get the generally get the vibe, and it seems like animation is up instead of down.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but fantastic, and like I said, only 87 minutes. Definitely worth checking out. Yeah, out of the 3 of the 4 films I've seen, it probably ranks the last for me. Probably better than, I haven't seen all the way through Paranoia Agent, but it probably ranks a little higher for me on Paranoia Agent. The sentimentality of it, the like sort of the loveliness of it is nice, but Tokyo Godfathers does that and does that so well that I'm just in love with it there. And I don't know. I think because Paprika is about like hacking people's dreams through
Yeah.
the internet. It's got a lot of interesting thought process stuff that clicks for me a little bit more than this does, because I think that what the thing that this is asking me to engage with is old Japanese cinema
Yeah.
in a way that, like, just doesn't quite resonate with me in the same way. But like I said, it's fantastic. You should check it all out. Check all the Satoshi Kons. I'll tell you what, Jeff. If you check out the two that you haven't seen, I will check out the one that I haven't seen. We can report back. Not like homework. You don't have to like do it immediately, but in the
So I need to
upcoming
watch
months.
Paprika and Tokyo Godfathers, and you need to watch Perfect Blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deal.
All right. Deal.
I would give this 4 out of 5. Like, if I give Perfect Blue a 5 out of 5, like I think Perfect Blue is a perfect movie, then I would say this is 4 out of 5, which is excellent. I think just some of the sentimentality is lost on me.
Yeah.
Also, one thing that it took me forever to reason this out, and I spent the whole thing. I'd be like, this doesn't take place anywhere near the turn of the millennium, like the turn of the century. Why is it called Millennium Actress? And it's because that tea that the crone gives her curses her for 1,000 years, which is a millennium.
Gotcha.
And I was like, okay, so it's cursing her to be a lovesick actress for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, millennium? This doesn't take place anywhere near 2,000. Like, what is this movie talking about?
Well, that makes sense. I just let that pass me. I was like, I don't care. Millennium Falcon. I just like assumed it had something to do. Something to do. To be honest, I assumed it had something to do with her space movie.
No,
Yeah.
it's the 1,000-year curse.
No, that makes more sense. That's way more beautiful. Thank you, Satoshi. Thank you for putting more thought into it than I would have.
Yep.
All right. Well, buddy, I think unless you have anything else that you want to say, I think that we're ready to wrap up. Got any more thoughts? Anything?
Be kind to each other.
Absolutely.
We're all we've got, dude.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, have so much freaking fun in Maine.
Yes.
And you have to tell us all about it next time on the podcast, okay?
Yeah, I'll be in my home studio next time.
I know, it'll be all fancy. I'll be at home in my home studio.
Hot damn.
We'll be all snuggled up, except it'll be hot as fuck because it's going to be.
And we'll both live in M states
Finally.
instead of Idaho.
I needed it. We needed the consonants,
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, what are we doing? What's the point of anything?
That's a good point.
All right. We love you. We'll check you out next time. Thank you. Bye.